in a different way. So it, from the outside, I guess it looked to people around me that I did everything in a different way than normal people did. Like I carried her all the time. This is, we're talking, she will turn 24 this year. So it's a long time ago. Now it might be normal, but back then it was, I breastfed her when she requested it. I breastfed her for almost 2.5 years. She slept with us. You know, whenever she needed something, I was there. And I wanted to let her feel you matter. You know, I hear you, I see you. And
beautiful.
Also, when it comes to vaccines and going to, well, to the doctor at certain times that you needed to go with your child, I made my own choices eventually. And so it was, yeah, it wasn't easy for my environment. It wasn't easy for me. I asked quite a lot of myself in that sense. And I could feel my power as well, you know, how much I was devoted to live life in my own way and to find new ways as well. So I guess that has always been a part of my journey since then. So this child has always been my teacher in that sense. And I've always seen her that way and honored her in that way. And yeah, when it comes to motherhood, I really feel that our children are here to not only be taught something by us, but also to teach so much. So when I had my second child, also a daughter, also born 6 weeks early.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Very interesting. She had to go into this, how do you call that, incubation? Well,
I understand. I actually don't know the name in English, but I understand. Yeah, I think so. I think that's
yeah, she was on the IC for babies as well. And she didn't grow at a certain moment, and I was there as much as I could, but I had another one as well. So after 10 days, they said, oh, she needs to be here for a longer time. And I was like, no, I will bring her home because I know what she needs. She needs to be comforted. She needs skin to skin touch. She needs to be breastfed whenever she needs it, when, you know. And as soon as I took her home, she grew from day one onwards. And yeah, so that has been very empowering. And I don't know if this is an answer to what you actually questioned, but that was what was being triggered when you asked about motherhood. And yeah, that was a very, it was a time of deep initiations and also deep awakenings, because where did all this knowledge come from? That what I had been taught wasn't the right way for me or for my children. They needed something else. And I knew they were starseeds. And even if they don't want to know, maybe I knew back then, you know, you come here with different gifts, with a different frequency, and it's very precious, and you are precious, and you need to know you're precious.
I love that. I don't know what I asked by now. It's more like I just love how we flow. And this is, you know, for me, this is a completely feminine, intuitive flow that I show up with here. And I just love that you're flowing with me, because what I feel is coming through I can feel it in my heart. And it's so beautiful to have you as an example to come on. And also I can what I can feel is your strength, your feminine strength, but also the gentleness that comes with the love you have for your children. It is felt as something so pure, but behind that, what I love is that innate strength, because you just knew. And I do know personally how much courage, and, you know, I salute you also and bow to the courage it must have taken back then. Because I know my mother didn't choose that necessarily. I'm probably, I don't know, yeah, I'm not 24, so it's not 24 years ago, but I know that in the 80s, for example, you know, it was suggested, you know, to keep the baby crying and laying down, and even if my children are born in the 2000s, you know, as millennials, many of these choices that we feel intuitively and very strongly, even without knowing, as you say, it's beautiful to hear, and also be able actually, for the first time on my podcast, to talk about how important it is. And it's actually been a deep desire of mine to speak of and out to other women and mothers in this time, without it being like a huge call to, you know, motherhood and humanity. We can also simply acknowledge that we are so powerful as mothers. We are raising the next generations to come. This holding and the space that we are fiercely, you know, protecting for them is changing so much for these beautiful babies, and, you know, now soon to be grown-ups and already grown-ups that can step into the world because they're held, and because they might not need to maybe listen so much to the outside world, because they have a strong example of somebody who didn't. So therefore, for them, it's easier, or will become easier as they understand it for themselves, that I can choose this time because somebody chose that for me. And I also, I truly see how the journey of motherhood is definitely an initiation, but that I feel we have so much power right now to also, and quite bluntly, because it's my own podcast, to say no to what's happening to our children, also the little ones. I have an 8-year-old in school, and to simply refuse for some of the things that are implied for them to do and partake in, which I just don't, I can feel it in my mama heart, even if I'm also a rebel and have made my choices to have natural health and natural immunity. And, you know, that's what I mean, my children eat ice cream and sugar and all of it, you know, but I promote that, which is also a choice. But at the same time, even if women or mothers do not promote that, they can see how their children are doing right now. And they can see how these sensitive children are reacting. And I feel it's time to truly listen, protect, and to stand together. It's almost like what I'm seeing right now is like, imagine if all of us mothers are just standing hand in hand, forming a circle around them. No one can pass through a mother. You know, there's nothing more powerful than that. Yeah. That just came to me right now, and it feels like such a joy to be able to actually talk about this, because I can feel that there are mothers who are hesitating right now, and I know how much it hurts ourselves when we feel like we have to do something because we're told, and yet we're hesitant in our hearts. And then we do them anyway. And I say this without judgment and with so much love and compassion. I understand where you're at, if you're out there listening, but I also know there's another way. And I also want to say that, you know, there are people like you and I, and many of us actually out there supporting you, even if we're not in your living room or wherever. We are here, we are present, and we're out here. Yeah. Because I could feel a lot of loneliness in my rebelry, you know, I could feel very lonely back then. I actually think that many are not aware of how many of us there are. You know, that's why I'm also starting off a very powerful podcast 2022 with you, because I feel like, we're out here, you know, we are. So for anyone hesitating, I mean, I can't speak for you, but for me, it's like, get in touch, join our memberships, or come into our spaces, because there's many of us and we are gathering. And it feels, for me, that feels so joyful and like powerful in itself, but also hopeful.